and that's good. That's very good for her. She worked
Mm-hmm.
hard to get that, and then she got all of her kids and everything. So she
Okay.
kind of
Well, we're
got
live
her
now.
own thing going on.
Okay. So we're live now. So first I want to say hi to Gregory. Hi, Gregory. How are you going today or this evening for you?
I'm doing great. Doing great.
So earlier on today, me and the girls all went online to talk about the latest project that we're going to do, which is from this book, Ask and It Is Given. And we're going to play the prosperity game. And because you're in a different time zone, there's a lot of confusion. And you're the other person that's going to be a participant in this game. So I thought we'll just catch up and get your thoughts on this game. And firstly, why did when I mentioned it to you, why did you decide to jump on? And you jumped on it real quick. Why did you want to play this game?
I just think it's a really good concept for the mind to start experience, even though it's a game, to experience the income, a greater income, and how you would spend it. Thinking about the wise spending of that money, looking into, like say if say you want to build a house, you got to look into the price of the land, the different attorneys, real estate fees, the building, the contractors, the materials, and it starts to expand somebody's understanding of the all the different elements that come into this. And oftentimes people get an idea in their mind, at least in my experience with talking with people, that something is far out of the price range, but when they really look into it and find out the real um, broken down cost, it's not really as expensive as they assume that it is. So it's just a good way to um, not only to understand all the elements involved in a large purchase or in spending larger amounts of money, but it opens their mind up to the reality of receiving a higher income and actually circulating that back into the things that they want.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's really the law of attraction. What you put out and what you focus on is what you get back, and that's really the whole idea behind this game. Is and they actually say it in the book is that when you're living in your day to day reality, you're only thinking about the income that you've got in your pocket, and that's what you're just going. That's what you're thinking about spending. So if we can start adding $1,000 and $2,000 and then $3,000, it's going to change the way you think, and you'll send out a different vibration, and in return for that, you will get a different result. So the next question is, what are you hoping to get out of this game, or what are your expectations?
Well, I really like the idea of how the idea of the increased income on a daily basis, and then the spending of it expands your your uh, your mind's belief. When you're the more you're, oh, how am I trying to say this? It is just a game, but your subconscious mind can't tell the difference between what's real and what's not real. So if you are writing down, if you're pretending is a very good tool for creating. But if you're actually keeping track of a high income and actually keeping track of expending and actually finding things that you want to spend that money on, it's in your mind. You're actually Your mind doesn't know that it's not real money, so you're expanding your consciousness of how of receiving and utilizing higher sums of money.
Fantastic. Okay. Now, before we go, I just want to ask you about a little breakthrough you had. I was speaking to you yesterday, and you had a little breakthrough about the power of your auto suggestion. Can you tell us a little bit more about what happened and how that's affected your life and the breakthrough?
Well, there's a lot of talk about auto-suggestion as far as like affirmations and recordings. And then I've also spoken myself a lot about the visualizing and imagining what you want as though it's real, actually living in your mind like it's a reality. And both of those things are very good. And you put them together, they're even better. But the thing that I was missing that is really the most important part of it is your self-talk throughout the day, because you can have these recordings or affirmations and visualizations every morning, maybe a couple times through the day and before you go to sleep, and that's great. But in the in between times, if you're thinking, because we think in words, so if we're thinking negative thoughts, and even if it's in our mind and not out loud, saying negative words, we're undermining everything that we're trying to do. So it's the self-talk, that inner talk, that when we're thinking about things has to be on the same level of what you're wanting to obtain. Because if you're thinking these high things that you want and what you're after, but then throughout the day you're thinking these negative thoughts, you're not getting anywhere. You're shutting down everything you start. You're shutting it down with that negative inner talk. So it's really got to pay attention to what one is saying throughout the day to themselves about different situations, their job, their circumstances, their finances, whatever. If they're speaking negative things, they're literally slowing down or stopping their attracting what they want into their life.
And do you have an example you can give us about that?
Well, I had to go to New Jersey here a while back, and it was a part of New Jersey that's very difficult. Every time I've ever went there, it's just been a bad experience as far as the way the roads are. It's to me, New Jersey is like a state of its own, like its own little world. They have different. Their roads are confusing. They don't seem to believe in street signs. They have 4 or 5 different names for every street. It's a disaster. Every time I've ever went there, it's just been a bad experience. And I had to go there here recently, and I was foreseeing a bad experience as soon as I found out I had to go. And I realized what I was doing with that inner talk. I was seeing and thinking a bad experience, and all the emotions and feelings were coming with it. And that I caught myself. I realized what I was doing, and I stopped that. And I realized I got to think about this differently. So I stopped the bad feelings. I started looking at it and seeing. I literally visualized myself going into there with no problems, getting to where I had to go, quick and easy business where I was at, and easy travel back out again. And that whole day went exactly as I had envisioned it the night before and that morning on my way in. I just kept on playing that in my mind, the positive, uh, like watching a film. I watched it play out in my mind the way I wanted it to happen, and it literally happened exactly like that. It was the first time I ever had a good experience in there, and it's the first time I ever went in there with those good thoughts. And to me, that's a great testimonial of not only the visualization and the auto suggestion, but that self-talk. That inner self-talk is probably the strongest auto suggestion a person receives.
And for those people who think that, yeah, that's an interesting story, but it was just a fluke. Since you've done that, how many times have you done that? And it's quite recent, this discovery of yours, or this aha, even though you've been doing personal development for a long time, it finally clicked to you this. So yeah, it happened the first time. Oh, it could be fake, whatever. But has it happened to you since? And if it has, how often?
Well, because I travel a lot, it was only a few days later that I was in the Chicago area, and it's pretty much those are the whole state of New Jersey and the city of Chicago are two places that I never really had great experiences with. I did the same thing with Chicago, and again, it played out exactly like I said it would, or exactly the way I had imagined it would. And as many times as I had been to these two places, these particular areas, and never had a good experience, for both of them to turn out that way after realizing that I needed to pay attention to my self-talk and see what I wanted to see ahead of time, that was pretty significant for me. And it pretty much it's happened every single day. Those are two of the bigger moments within the last couple of weeks. But every day, um, as long as I'm seeing the day play out, just like watching a film, watching myself go through a circumstance or a situation on a video. If I'm doing that in my head and keeping the good positive um, feelings that go along with watching that good positive outcome, as long as I'm doing that, I'm watching things play out exactly as I foresee them. And it's amazing. It's hard to explain, but when somebody does it and actually experiences it, then you just can't wait to do it again because it's just a small matter. But if you can take that and practice that and get good at it, imagine the larger aspects of life that you can apply this to, and literally make your those parts of your life be exactly the way you want them to be.
Absolutely. As I was just about to say, imagine the effect it's going to have your life moving forward, where you pick up your thoughts and you change the direction of your life. And this is really what this book, this game is all about. Is now we're going to start picking up thoughts about money, having more money, and spending money so that you can enjoy a lifestyle that you would like to have. So, look, thank you for your time, Gregory. And as I said, now that you now that we've gone through the first day, we got the time zones wrong. If you, because Sydney's ahead, you thought that it was the same day, but it's 2 different days. We're going to correct this, and you will be with the girls next week.
Yeah,
Yep.
I was going to be with you all this evening when you weren't there.
Oh, well, that's all right. Okay, then. All right. Well, thank you for that.